welcome to another Wolftime gaming video. Today I'm going to be painting up some Shoretroopers for use in Star Wars Legion. I'm going to get them looking like this. It's a really easy paint scheme. I've been looking forward to getting my hands on these for some time and getting them painted up. Before we get started though, as usual, let's get that kettle on. As always, the first step is to give it a good base coat. I'm using a grey sear spray from Games Workshop, which is to use with their contrast paints. The reason I've gone with grey sear rather than Wraithbone's got an almost creamy sort of a tinge, and I wanted this to be almost like a really light grey white to start off with, fully with better coat to start. The first actual paint I'm using, because I've used the contrast spray, is a contrast paint called Wildwood, and I'm using this essentially on all the trouser areas and also these boots as well. Doing this throughout all the models. All the squad are basically the same. There's not much difference between each of the squad members apart from the rank markings, which we'll come on to a little bit later. The second colour I'm going with is another contrast paint, and this time it's Black Templar. It's a great black paint that really drops into the recesses nicely and leaves you with these highlighted areas straight away, which means you don't have to actually go in and highlight any of the areas if you don't want to. To do that, I've essentially used it on the weapons, the sort of skirt style thing that it's got. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. All the fabric between the armor pieces and also the gloves as well. The next colour I'm using is the actual armor colour, or the base colour for the armor colour, which is Xandri Dust. This is a go-to colour of mine. I use this one a lot in the past. I did consider using Skeleton Horde, but I didn't think it would quite look right. I thought the colour was a little bit off, so I decided to go with Xandri Dust and go for more of a dark and dirty, battle-worn feel for these troops, rather than a nice and clean feel that you would have got with any of the troops. Now you could actually leave them at this stage. You could see he already looks really good. Looks nice and effective. Not nice big block of colour on there. And if you wanted to get a game in, I mean, you could leave them at this stage. But I wanted to take it to the next level and add the details in for the rank, the squad leader markings. Add a little bit of highlighting on the weapons and that sort of thing, which we'll come on to now. And the first of those colours really is a silver. I've just grabbed my lead belcher and just doing a little bit of dry brushing just on the weapon. All it's doing is picking up the raised areas of the weapon, all the little lumps and bumps on the weapon itself, to give it more of like sort of a metal feel and to make it stand out from the rest of the fabric, really, like the gloves and that sort of thing. The next step is there's two small straps just below the waist there, and I'm using a Mournfang Brown for this. On the normal troops, rather than the squad leader or the sergeant that we've got here, they've actually got an ammunition pouch just on the right hip as well, and I've used Mournfang for those as well. Now the next step is the red part on the right arm. All the troops have got this, and I've just grabbed my Fiston Red, which is a nice base red for this, and it's just straight on there. Water it down a little bit and then just pop it straight on, covering that whole sort of bottom area of the upper right arm's armor panel essentially. There's a couple of little yellow dots just on there as well, which you could just grab something like Avalanche Sunset or anything like that, just to drop a couple of little yellow dots if you wanted to go into that much detail with it, but as I say, you don't have to. On the left shoulder pad on all the troops, they've got a white stripe, which is sort of like boxed in by a black stripe. The white area, I've used Celestra Grey, and just essentially drawn a white band over onto the actual armor panel, onto the shoulder pad. Just take your time with this if you're wanting to do it, and really try and use a small tip brush. Make sure you do water down your paint as well with this one, because it can look quite blotchy if you don't. And then just to sort of box that in and frame that in with the black paint, I've just done exactly the same thing with the Corvus black. Don't worry if you mess up or your line doesn't look perfectly straight, because you can go back on there with the Xandri dust or the Celestial grey and just neaten that up again if you wanted to. It only takes 2 seconds. Just wait for the paint to dry and then go straight over the top with a nice little bit. The next paint I'm using is Calgar Blue, and this is to denote the sergeant or a captain. The sergeant just has it on the tops of the top half of the 2 shoulder pads and across the chest area. And this is a really good blue for this. Actually, it pretty much matches what you see on screen. I think it looks really effective when mixed with the other colours as well. Just take your time again, don't put it on too thickly. Make sure you do water down your paint if you're putting this on there, because it can look a little blotchy, especially when doing smaller areas and you're putting too much paint on there. You can lose a lot of the detail, or you can actually, the paint sort of dries bumpy rather than nice and smooth. But you can see there, the model essentially has all the base colours on there and he looks brilliant. He's nice and clean though at the moment, which is not what the look I wanted to go for. I wanted to darken him down, add some shading into the armour, so to make some of the raised areas of the armour stand out a little bit. This does darken it down quite a lot though in comparison to other the actual paint that we had, the base coat. You can see straight away it's adding the shading in, which looks absolutely fantastic. The problem with going over all the armour though is that it will darken it down a lot. It may not be the look you want to go for. I actually quite like this look. I like them to look quite dark. I want them to look a little bit battle worn, like they've been in a fight. So this is perfect for what I wanted to do. To actually avoid that, and if you wanted to use the same sort of technique but you want it to stay light, is then go back over the top of all the areas you cover with this Agrax Earthshade and actually highlight again with the Xandri dust just on all the raised areas, and that'll bring some of the colour back and make it a little bit brighter. But I'm actually going to leave it at this level because I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So the next step is the base. I'm just popping a little bit of super glue down on the base to stick some twigs and a rock on there, just to add a little bit of interest before I add any of the sand and any of the plants and things like that sort of flock and static grass and stuff. I mean, this is completely up to you how you want to base them. I wanted it to look quite deserty, desert islandy, so it's basically what they're on in Scarif. So I've actually gone with this sandy sort of a feel, sort of tropical sand sort of a feel. So just popped a little bit of PVA glue just all around the base, just on the actual flat areas. You can see I painted it with Xandri dust as well, just so it really keeps the colour. Wipe off any of the excess around the edge of the base, and then you've got the sand straight on there, and that looks really, really good. Now you can just leave it as is if you wanted to, but I wanted to add a little bit of greenery on there. So just got a little bit of static grass to start with, drop that onto there with a little bit of PVA glue. Put a little bit more super glue just on a couple of areas next to the rock and the actual log to pop a little bit of foliage that I had kicking around, a little bit of clump foliage, little bits and pieces that I've had sat in a box. And it just makes it look a little bit more realistic. You don't want to cover it too much. I mean, there you have it. You could see I've done something slightly different with each of the bases, but the models are complete and I think they look absolutely fantastic. Yes, they are slightly darker than what you would see on screen. I think the Agrax Earthshade did darken it down a little bit too much, I would say, for them to be completely screen accurate, but I think they look quite dirty and muddy and battle worn, which is the sort of look I wanted to go for. And I've really enjoyed painting these, and I think they're going to look great on the tabletop. Make sure you hit that like button and check out some of the other videos as well. I've got loads and loads of videos online at the moment, lots of Star Wars Legion stuff, also lots of Warhammer 40k type bits and pieces, and a spattering of other bits and pieces from the hobby as well. But thanks very much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.